April 26th.
Oh, we are back. It is 8:14, and we are gearing up for a very special farewell.
Do you notice how we keep playing seal?
Yes.
They are so smart
so
in the control room.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 gray seal pups rescued in New Jersey have now been nursed back to health, and they are ready to be released back into the ocean.
NBC's Emilie Ikeda is right there with them to hold their fins. Emilie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'll tell you this, even this rainy and windy weather, it's not putting a damp...
Right there with them to hold their fins. Emilie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'll tell you this, even this rainy and windy weather...
NBC's Emilie Ikeda is right there with them to hold their fins. Emilie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'll tell you this, even this rainy and windy weather, it's not putting a damper on this...
Right there with them to hold their fins. Emilie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'll tell you this, even this rainy and windy weather...
NBC's Emilie Ikeda is right there with them to hold their fins. Emilie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'll tell you this, even this rainy and windy weather, it's not putting a damper on this very exciting morning, because in just a matter of moments, we're going to see these 2 seal pups head back home into the ocean blue. Over the last couple of weeks, they have been rescued within miles of where I'm standing in Brigantine, New Jersey, and rehabilitated, nursed back to health, nearly doubling in weight, and now they are ready to head back home.
It's a big day for 2 gray seal pups in Brigantine, New Jersey, as they get ready to swim back into the wild this morning. Their journey along the Jersey shore began in February, when they were rescued by staff at the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. Number 11, as he's identified by staff, was found just miles away near the dunes in Brigantine Beach.
We came across this little fluffy white gray seal.
The seal's body still covered in his white birth coat.
They usually keep it till they're weaned. It's usually about 2 to 3 weeks.
Just hours later, the center received an urgent call about another gray seal pup.
She was reported to have something around her neck. From what we can tell, it's the plastic overwrap from a case of bottled water.
Number 12 was only about a month old and was likely making her way down from northern New England and Canada, where many gray seals are born. As for that piece of plastic,
she managed to get it off in the crate on the transport back. She's very feisty.
Once they arrived at the center, number 11 and 12 became the newest in-house patients, joining more than a dozen other seals on site.
We treat this facility very much like you treat a human hospital.
With no major medical issues, the rehab process for both pups was all about packing on the pounds and getting them to eat on their own, something that went swimmingly, especially for number 11.
He likes to sing for his supper. He's very vocal about what he wants.
Since arriving at MMSC, 11 and 12 have already doubled in size, now weighing about 80 pounds each, allowing them to graduate from their smaller pens to the big pool. Now, after nearly 7 weeks of care with a tender touch, this adorable duo is ready to dive back in.
We're hopeful that they'll head out and find their own way.
It's just such a great feeling to watch them go.
Okay, so joining me now live, we've got Jay Pagel here, stranding coordinator at MMSC. Jay, I know you've been doing this for a long time, nearly 3 decades. Does it ever get easier seeing these animals head back into the ocean?
Not about easier, but it is exciting every time that it happens. It's great to see these animals come in debilitated, knocking on death's door, and then just to recuperate, get fatter, put on weight, get stronger, and then eventually go back to the wild.
You pour your heart and soul into these animals. Can it be emotional sometimes?
A little bit. That's why we don't really name our animals. We just stick with our field number. It makes it a little bit easier to let them go when the time comes.
So we know we've got 11 and 12 not far from where I am, so we are going to give Jacob, the stranding technician, the thumbs up to begin the release. They are both in those crates now, and they're going to make, I'd say, 50 feet or so that journey back into the ocean?
Feet, yeah.
So what's typical behavior? Are they going to dart in? You can see the nose starting to peek out.
We hope that they'll dart in. Sometimes it's all up to them. But working with kids and animals, they can go any way at any time. Hopefully they'll cooperate. And the we're going to let the male out first, and we'll let our little female out. This is the one that was entangled in the plastic. You'll see, hopefully she'll come out, and they'll follow one another back out into the wild.
And so they've actually gotten to know each other over the last couple of days or so. You actually have introduced them.
Yes, yeah, they spent about a week or so in our big exercise pool, getting used to one another, getting a little bit more room to swim around, build up their muscles so that they can swim and dive and make it a little bit easier to capture food.
And they look quite different from weeks ago when you rescued them, because now they're approaching 80 pounds each.
They're actually both over 80 pounds. The male came in at 80 pounds and the female was 84.
And they're already starting to undulate towards the ocean. You can see it seems like they're they are surveying their surroundings at this point.
Yep, just kind of figuring out where they're at, getting their bearings, and hopefully they'll be moving on. You hear the male vocalizing a little bit.
Oh wow, there they go. And you think about number 12, for instance. She was found with plastic wrapped around her neck.
Part of a plastic overwrap for a case of water. The hole that's in the side of it managed to get over the top of her head. It was around her neck when we picked her up. She managed to get that off on her own during the trip back here, but who knows if we didn't intervene, how long it would have stayed on there.
So how can we do our part? How can people watching this right now, do their part?
Best thing that they can do is just make sure they dispose of their trash properly. If you have anything that forms a circle, make sure you cut it. Make sure that nobody can get entangled in it later on if it decides it gets blown out of the trash truck or whatever may happen. All right, we may have to back off.
We're now watching them move in various directions. They're walking towards us. Do you think they're going to stay together? Are they solitary creatures?
They're
Do
pretty
they stay
solitary
packs?
for the most part. They will move on their own. They'll kind of do their own thing.
Very cool.
We'll kind of move away a little bit, so we don't want them to come back here.
Yeah, you actually have a net. You have some devices to help guide
Just
them
in case
towards.
they just try and crawl back underneath the truck or go back in the crates. Hopefully they'll go on their merry way very shortly.
Is every release different? What can you expect? I mean, there's so much. There's an unpredictability element here.
Yeah, these aren't trained animals. They're wild animals. And it's kind of hard to figure out what their plan is.
Do you know? Do you have a sense of what direction, where they will be going?
Hopefully, once they hit back in the water, they'll move north. They'll start making their way north towards their home. They're basically coming down here from New England and Canada.
Yeah, guys, so this is pretty remarkable to see right now. I mean, it's so amazing. And now, as you guys know, I'm now experienced in seal releases. This one going a little bit differently than last year.
Emily, is there any, for a second, we thought they were going to get back in the crates.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is there any concern that they might not want to go back to the wild? Sounds like a real dumb question.
Let me bring in Jay here. I mean, we saw the seals start to make their way back to the crate. Is there a concern that maybe they want to go back to the familiar?
It could be. They've been sheltered for the last month and a half or so. So they could be looking, this is the first time that they're actually completely exposed to the weather.
This is kind of like what my in-laws showed us.
They could be looking for a nice, drier place to hang out. They're used to their little small pool, and they're also looking for their first meal of the day, which would be happening right about now if they were still with us.
Serpentine shell.
So they have to find their own food and everything. I stayed in the crate myself. Wow.
How long does this usually take?
About the same time for paint to dry.
Wow. We might have to
He's going now. Let's go.
Okay, here we go.
It could be a while at the rate that we're going.
So close.
Here we go.
Hopefully the male will turn around and take
So
his
which
way
one
back
is this?
to
This is the
This is the
female?
female. This is number 12, and this is number 11.
And they were rescued on the same day within just hours of each other.
Yeah, actually, 11 obviously came in first. We picked them up here. We were actually relocating another animal to the north end of the beach here. And on our way out here, we got a call that he was hanging out down at the south end or down by the entrance.
She's there.
So we got number 12. She's showing us.
Wait a minute, Emily, how hard is it for them to find their meal? I mean, they've been spoon-fed, and now they got to go forage for their meal. How hard is that? What do they eat, we ask?
Yeah, so they're wondering what are the seals going to be eating, and what's that transition like? Because they've been spoon-fed over the last couple of weeks, and now they've got to forage and find their own meal.
We try and keep it as natural as possible. We toss the fish in. We stand behind a curtain so they can't see the fish coming from us. And then basically out here, there's plenty of fish for them to feed on. Menhaden, fluke, flounder, all sorts of, they've even been known to eat striped bass.
All right, well, I think they're going to be surveilling their surroundings for a bit while now. We'll have to check in to see when they make it to the water.
We'll give them time.
All right.
We'll check back in.
Yeah, we'll continue to check back in.
Continue to watch SEAL Team 11 and 12. Okay.
What's great is on the other side of weather, you're going to be able to do pup start.